Absolutely crazy to think that EastEnders is 40 years old this week. 40 years old, that's right. It came out in 1985. What a madness. Now, like most people, especially from the UK, you know EastEnders, you've watched it, you may like it in the past, or you may have liked it in the past, you may still like it. I haven't watched EastEnders in years, but when I was gonna sort of do some research into this video, I just reminded myself about some of the characters that we used to know and love. Now, the one thing I'll say about EastEnders is that it has had some iconic characters. Now, you could see Pat Butcher there, you could see Phil Mitchell, Ian Bill, who I think is still the longest serving member. Is he still in? I don't know. I haven't watched it for so long. Rest in peace. Obviously, Peggy Mitchell or Barbara Windsor. But it's some of the more obscure characters, characters who you may not remember, and then you see them, you're like, oh yeah, I remember. Who remembers this family? Obviously, I think Patrick's still in it, but do you remember his two sons? Can't remember their names to save my life. One a doctor. I think the guy on the left was a doctor, and the guy on the right was a bit of a bad boy, if I remember correctly. Obviously, I know I mentioned Pat Butcher already, but you remember Frank Butcher, and I recently watched Snatch, and I forgot that he was in it. But when I was growing up, it was all about Dirty Den. Do you remember? I remember when he was apparently unalived and then eventually came back. And weren't the first Christmas special him serving divorce papers on Angie, who was his wife on the left? And look how young Sharon looks as well. Oh, personally, I don't think you could talk about EastEnders without mentioning the Mitchells. Obviously, I haven't got Sam in this, so I don't know why actually. But yeah, you've got the two brothers there, and I'm sure Grant has recently come back. I've overheard people talking about it. So many different people, so many different landlords and landladies. And did you know that Albert Square is actually based on a real square in Hackney? Square is Facet Square in Hackney. It's just crazy that EastEnders has been going so long, and to think it was sort of created to compete with Coronation Street, which has been going on for goodness knows how long. I wonder if they really thought that 40 years later it will still be going strong, but it is, and got to take my hat off to EastEnders. But can you believe 40 years this week? 40 years, madness.